No one remembered when the sky first turned red. At first, the villagers thought it was a strange sunset, the kind that made people stop working and stare upward for a moment. But the red did not fade, it stayed. Thick clouds rolled slowly, like something heavy was pressing down on the world. Then the ground shook. Homes made of stone and metal rattled. Children screamed. Animals ran wild through the narrow paths of the village. And from the hills beyond the fields, a deep sound echoed slow, powerful, and alive. The alien army had arrived. They came from the stars without warning. Tall, armored figures marched across the land like walking machines. Their weapons hummed with energy. Their banners carried the symbol everyone feared, the mark of the alien warrior queen. She was undefeated. Stories of her had traveled faster than her armies. Entire cities erased in a single night. Planets forced to kneel without a fight. No general had ever stood against her and lived to tell the story. Even other alien races whispered her name with fear. Now she was here. The village had nothing of value, no rare metals, no advanced weapons, just farmers, builders, elders, and children. People who wanted to live quietly. But the queen did not care. Her soldiers surrounded the village in perfect silence. No shouting. No panic among them. Just control, total and cold. At the center of it all stood the queen herself. She was taller than any human. Her armor was dark, marked by old battle scars. Her eyes were sharp and calm, like she had already decided the fate of everyone standing before her. The village leader stepped forward, his hands shaking. "We have nothing to give," he said, trying to sound strong. "Please, leave us." The queen did not answer right away. She looked over the people slowly. Her gaze passed over frightened mothers, crying children, and old men holding broken tools as weapons. Then she spoke. "This land will serve my empire," she said. Her voice was steady, almost bored. "Your village will be removed." A wave of fear moved through the crowd. Some villagers fell to their knees. Others held each other, already believing this was the end. That was when a single human moved. He was not a soldier, not a leader, not even important by village standards. He was a repair worker, someone who fixed generators and old machines. A quiet man who rarely spoke in public. His clothes were dusty. His hands were rough. And yet, he stepped forward. People whispered his name in confusion. Some tried to pull him back. "Stop," someone said urgently. "You'll die." But he kept walking. The alien soldiers raised their weapons instantly, locking onto him. One move more, and he would be gone. The queen lifted her hand. "Wait," she said. She studied the human closely. He stood straight, even though fear was clear in his eyes. His heart was racing, but his feet did not move back. "You," the queen said. "Speak." The human swallowed hard. "This village doesn't belong to you," he said. A few gasps escaped the crowd. No one had ever spoken to her like that and lived. The queen tilted her head slightly. "Everything belongs to me," she replied. The human took a slow breath. "Then take me," he said. "Not them." The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. The queen looked amused for the first time. "You offer yourself?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Challenge me. If I lose, you can do what you want. If I win, you leave them alone." The soldiers reacted instantly, some laughing in sharp alien sounds, others looking almost offended. A human, challenging her, the alien warrior queen undefeated in 1,000 battles. The queen did not laugh. She stared at him for a long moment. "You know what you are asking," she said. "No human has ever survived combat with me." "I know," he replied. "But someone has to stand." The villagers watched in shock. Some cried. Some begged him to stop, but he did not turn around. The queen stepped closer. Up close, her presence was overwhelming. Power rolled off her like heat from fire. "Why would you throw away your life for them?" she asked. He answered honestly, "Because if no one stands up, we all die anyway." Something unreadable crossed her face. Very slowly she smiled. "A village protected by a single human," she said. "Interesting." She turned and raised her voice so all could hear. "I accept your challenge." The crowd erupted in panic. "No!" people shouted. "Please!" But the queen had already decided. "Prepare the ground," she commanded. "The duel will decide their fate." The soldiers moved with precision, clearing space at the center of the village. Weapons were lowered, but not removed. This was not mercy, this was entertainment. The human stood alone in the open ground. He had no armor, no weapon, just his body and his will. As the queen walked to the opposite side, she spoke again. "You have until sunrise," she said. "Rest, pray, remember your people." The human nodded silently. As the alien army pulled back slightly, the villagers surrounded him. Some held his hands. Others cried openly. "You can still run," an elder whispered. He shook his head. "If I run," he said softly, "there's no hope." As night fell, the red sky slowly darkened. Fires burned low. Fear filled every corner of the village. And in the middle of it all, one human sat alone, staring at the ground where he would face the undefeated alien warrior queen at dawn. No one slept. Because by morning, everything would change. The night did not feel like a normal night. The village was quiet, but not peaceful. Fires burned low, casting weak light on tired faces. People sat close together, whispering prayers in many languages. Every sound felt louder than it should have been. The crack of wood, a child's soft cry, the distant movement of alien soldiers beyond the fields. At the edge of the village, the human sat alone. He had not slept. His back rested against a broken wall, his eyes open but unfocused. His hands trembled slightly, not from cold, but from the weight of what he had chosen. He was afraid. Anyone would be. But beneath the fear was something stronger resolve. He thought of the village as it used to be. Mornings filled with noise, people arguing over small things, children running through dust and laughter. Simple life, worth protecting. Footsteps approached. He looked up to see the village leader standing nearby, holding a small cup of water. "You should drink," the leader said gently. The human took the cup and nodded. "Thank you." They sat in silence for a moment. "You don't have to do this," the leader said again, though both of them knew it was too late. "If I don't," the human replied, "she will destroy everything by sunrise." The leader lowered his head. "She is not like us. She has killed worlds." "I know," the human said. "That's why she expects fear." Across the open ground, inside the alien command circle, the warrior queen stood alone. Her armor was partially removed, revealing marks carved into her skin, symbols of victories, oaths, and wars, older than most human history. Her soldiers kept their distance. No one interrupted her before battle. She stared at the village through the darkness. She had expected many things when she arrived: fear, begging, surrender. She had not expected defiance, a single human. No armor, no weapon. Standing in front of her and offering a challenge. It bothered her more than she wanted to admit. Her second in command approached carefully. "Majesty," the officer said, "this duel is unnecessary. We can erase the village now." The queen's eyes remained fixed forward. "No," she said. "If I crush him without honor, the story spreads wrong." The officer hesitated. "A story?" "Yes," the queen replied. "A story that says humans are not worth noticing." She finally turned. "That would be a lie." The officer said nothing more. As the sky began to lighten, a strange tension filled the air. The red clouds slowly thinned, replaced by a dull gray morning. Sunrise was coming. The alien soldiers formed a wide circle around the village center. Their weapons were lowered, but active. The villagers stood behind broken walls and doorways, holding each other tightly. The human walked forward. Each step felt heavy. His legs wanted to stop, to turn back, but he kept moving until he stood on the marked ground. Across from him, the alien warrior queen stepped forward. She now held a long energy blade, glowing faintly. It hummed with power. The human held nothing. The crowd noticed. Whispers spread. How can he fight her like that? The queen raised her blade slightly. You may choose a weapon, she said. If you wish to die with dignity. The human shook his head. If I carry a weapon, he said, I'll try to fight like you. He looked up at her. I'm not here to fight like you. A small ripple of surprise passed through the alien ranks. The queen narrowed her eyes. Then how will you fight? The human placed his feet firmly on the ground. I'll fight like a human. For the first time, the queen laughed. Not mockery, curiosity. Very well, she said. She raised her blade high. The duel began. She moved first. Faster than the villagers could follow, she crossed the ground, blade slicing the air where his head had been a moment earlier. The human barely avoided it, stumbling backward. Gasps filled the air. The queen did not pause. She attacked again and again, each strike precise and deadly. The human did not try to block. He ran. He rolled. He moved unpredictably. He was not stronger. He was not faster, but he was still standing. Minutes passed. Sweat poured down his face. His lungs burned. Every near miss sent fear through his body. The queen slowed. You are stalling, she said calmly. I'm surviving, he replied between breaths. She attacked again, changing patterns, forcing him closer and closer to the edge of the circle. Then she struck low. The blade cut across his leg. Pain exploded through him. He cried out and fell to one knee. The village screamed. The queen stepped back, watching him bleed onto the dirt. It ends now, she said. The human pressed his hand against the wound. His vision blurred. He knew he could not outfight her. So he did the one thing she did not expect. He laughed, not loudly, not proudly. Just a small, broken laugh. The queen paused. Why do you laugh? She demanded. Because you still don't see it, he said. She frowned. See what? You're stronger, he admitted. You always were. He looked toward the village. But strength isn't why humans survive. The queen hesitated. He pushed himself to his feet, shaking, bleeding but standing. We survive because we refuse to stop, he said. Because we stand even when we know we'll lose. The silence was absolute. The queen looked at him, not as prey, not as entertainment, but as something unfamiliar. A challenge that was not physical. She raised her blade again. But for the first time in her long, undefeated life, her hand hesitated. The queen lowered her blade slightly, but she did not step back. The human stood in front of her, blood soaking into the dirt beneath his feet. His breathing was rough, uneven. Any trained warrior could see the truth his body was close to failing. And yet, he did not fall. The queen had faced armies that screamed as they charged her. She had watched generals beg when defeat became certain. She had crushed champions who believed strength alone would save them. This was different. This ends now, she said again, more firmly this time. The human wiped blood from his mouth with the back of his hand. His fingers shook, but his eyes stayed locked on hers. Then do it, he said. But don't pretend this is about power. The words struck deeper than any blade. The queen attacked. She moved faster than before, her strikes sharper, fueled by irritation she refused to name. The energy blade flashed again and again, forcing the human backward. He tripped over loose stone and hit the ground hard. A collective cry rose from the village. The queen stood over him, blade pointed at his chest. Stay down, she said. Your body has reached its limit. The human coughed, pain tearing through his ribs. He should have stayed down. Every part of him screamed to stop. But then he heard something. A child crying, not loudly, just a small sound behind him. A sound filled with fear, not understanding. He pushed against the ground. The queen watched in disbelief as he rose again, slower now, but still upright. You are broken, she said. Why do you keep standing? He answered honestly. Because they're watching. The queen glanced past him just for a moment. The villagers stood frozen. Children clung to their parents. Elders held their breath. Every eye was on the human. Not because they believed he would win, but because he was still trying. The queen felt something tighten inside her chest. She attacked again, harder than before. The blade cut across his shoulder. He screamed and fell, rolling to avoid the next strike. Pain blurred his vision. His body felt heavy, distant. He knew he was running out of time. So he stopped running. When the queen lunged again, he did something unexpected. He stepped forward. The blade sliced past his side, close enough to burn his skin. He grabbed her arm, not to overpower her, but to anchor himself. The contact shocked them both. Alien soldiers raised their weapons instantly. The queen froze. No one had touched her in combat like that before. "Finish it," she said coldly. The human did not let go. "You've been fighting wars your whole life," he said through clenched teeth. "Tell me something." She stared down at him. "Do you even remember why you started?" The question hit her harder than she expected. Her arm tensed. She could end him in a heartbeat. But her mind betrayed her. Images surfaced uninvited. A burning world. A throne taken through blood. An empire built on fear so no one could ever hurt her people again. She tore her arm free and stepped back. The human collapsed to one knee, gasping. "You hesitate," he said softly. "That's not weakness." The queen's eyes darkened. "Silence. You fight to control everything," he continued, voice shaking. "But you don't know what it's like to protect something fragile." The queen raised her blade, anger flashing across her face. "I protect an empire," she said. "You protect dirt and dust." He looked up at her. "This dirt is home." The word lingered in the air. Home. The queen felt the crowd watching again. Not cheering. Not screaming, just waiting. Waiting to see what she would do. She attacked once more, but something was different now. Her movements were precise, but slower. Calculated, almost careful. The human used that. When she struck high, he moved low. When she advanced, he retreated just enough to make her overextend. He wasn't winning. But he was learning, the queen noticed. "You adapt quickly," she said. "That's what humans do," he replied. "We don't start strong, we become strong." She swung again. He dodged by instinct, not thought. The village gasped as the blade struck the ground instead of flesh. For the first time, the queen missed completely. Silence fell. Her soldiers shifted uneasily. The queen straightened slowly. "This duel was meant to prove your insignificance," she said. "Instead, you turn it into defiance." He struggled to stand fully, but managed it. "Defiance is all we have," he said. "And sometimes it's enough." The queen studied him carefully now. Not as a warrior judging an opponent, but as a ruler measuring consequence. If she killed him now, she would win. But the story would spread. A human stood unarmed against the undefeated queen, and still made her hesitate. She stepped back and lowered her blade. The village gasped louder than before. The alien soldiers froze in confusion. "This is not over," the queen said. The human blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. "You have not defeated me," she continued. "But you have done something far more dangerous." He waited. "You have forced me to question," she said quietly. "And no ruler can afford that lightly." She turned toward her soldiers. "Prepare to withdraw from the village perimeter." Shock rippled through both sides. The human swayed, nearly falling. He caught himself. The queen looked back one final time. "At sunrise tomorrow," she said, "I will decide this village's fate." She paused. "And yours." She walked away. The soldiers followed, their formation breaking slightly for the first time since arrival. The villagers rushed toward the human, catching him before he collapsed. Hands supported him. Voices cried his name. He was alive, for now. But as the queen stood at the edge of the field, staring back at the village, one truth had become clear to her. This human had not beaten her in battle. He had wounded something far deeper. And tomorrow, she would have to choose what kind of ruler she truly was. Morning came slowly. The sky was no longer red. It had faded into a dull gray, like the world itself was holding its breath. The alien army stood farther from the village now, their formation loose, uncertain. They waited for orders that did not come. Inside the command circle, the alien warrior queen stood alone. She had not rested. Her armor lay beside her, untouched. Her blade rested against a stone, its glow dim. For the first time in many cycles, her mind refused to settle. She kept seeing the human's face, not his fear, not his pain, his refusal. A low voice broke the silence. "You hesitate," said her second-in-command, stepping forward carefully. The queen did not turn. "He should be dead," the officer continued. "The duel ended. Your victory was assured." "Yes," the queen said quietly. "It was. Then why did you stop?" the officer asked. The queen finally faced him. Her eyes were sharp, but something new lay beneath them, conflict. "Because killing him would have been easy," she said. "And easy victories teach nothing." The officer frowned. "The empire is built on strength." "No," the queen replied. "It is built on fear." The word surprised even her. She turned away again. "If fear alone is our foundation," she said, "then one day someone weaker will make us hesitate. And the whole empire will crack." Across the field, the village gathered. The human lay on a rough bed made from cloth and wood. His wounds were cleaned as best they could be. He drifted in and out of sleep, pain pulling him under, then letting him rise again. People took turns sitting beside him. Some spoke softly. Some said nothing at all. An elder leaned close. "You changed her," he whispered. "Whatever happens next. You gave us a chance." The human opened his eyes briefly. "I didn't change her," he said weakly. "I reminded her." Outside, children watched the alien soldiers with wide eyes. They were no longer advancing. No weapons raised, just waiting. Waiting scared them more than attack. As the sun climbed higher, the queen stepped forward once more. This time, she came alone. No armor, no blade in her hands. The villagers tensed, fear returning instantly. Parents pulled children close. A few people stepped protectively in front of the wounded human. The queen raised one empty hand. "I will not fight," she said. Her voice carried easily. "I have come to decide." The village leader stepped forward, his legs unsteady. "You promised," he said. "You said the duel would decide our fate." "And it has," the queen replied. She looked at the human lying among them. "He did not defeat me," she said. "But he forced me to see something my empire has forgotten." She turned her gaze to the villagers. "You live without conquest," she continued. "Without armies, without power." Her eyes returned to the human. "And yet, when faced with extinction, one of you stepped forward without hesitation." Silence wrapped around the village. The queen took a slow breath. "I built my rule on the belief that fear brings order," she said. "That only the strong deserve to survive." She paused. "But strength without purpose is empty." The second-in-command stepped forward sharply. "This is dangerous," he warned. "Mercy will be seen as weakness." The queen did not look at him. "Let them see," she said. A ripple of shock moved through the alien ranks. The queen raised her voice. "This village will remain untouched," she declared. "My army will withdraw." The words hit the ground like thunder. Some villagers fell to their knees in disbelief. Others cried openly. Hands covered mouths. No one spoke. The queen was not finished. "And this human," she continued, "will live." She stepped closer to him. "He challenged me without weapon or army," she said. "Such defiance deserves acknowledgement." She reached to her armor and removed the small metal crest marked with her personal symbol. She placed it beside the human. "This mark will protect him," she said, "and this village. Any force that harms them will answer to me." The second-in-command stiffened. "You cannot guarantee that," he said. The queen finally faced him fully. "I am the guarantee." The alien soldiers began to move, retreating slowly. Ships powered up in the distance. The ground hummed beneath the villagers' feet as the invasion reversed itself. The queen paused one last time and looked back at the human. "Our paths may cross again," she said. "When they do, I hope you are standing." The human managed a weak smile. "So do I," he replied. The queen turned away and walked back toward her army. As the last ship lifted into the sky, the village stood in stunned silence. They were alive. Not because they were strong, not because they were powerful, but because one human refused to step aside. As the dust settled and the sound of engines faded, the villagers gathered around the wounded man. Children touched his hand gently. Elders bowed their heads. He tried to speak but stopped, overwhelmed. The leader placed a hand on his shoulder. "You saved us," he said simply. The human shook his head. "We saved each other." Above them, the sky cleared fully for the first time in days. And far beyond the stars, the alien warrior queen stared out from her ship, her thoughts heavier than any weapon she had ever carried, because somewhere on a small, forgotten world, a human had changed the way she ruled an empire. The village slowly returned to life, not all at once, not with celebration, but with careful steps, like someone walking after a long illness. People repaired broken walls. Fires were rebuilt. Children began to run again, though they stayed close to their parents. And at the center of it all, the human healed. His wounds took time. Some pain never fully left him. But each morning, he woke to the sound of life continuing, and that was enough. The metal crest the queen had left was placed at the village entrance. It caught the light of the sun, shining quietly. Traders who passed through recognized it and moved on without trouble. Raiders never came. Stories began to spread. A human who stood unarmed before the undefeated alien warrior queen. A village spared without surrender. An empire that turned away instead of crushing. Most believed it was a myth. But myths, when strong enough, change reality. Far away, aboard the queen's flagship, change came slowly, but it came. Reports reached her from across the empire. Commanders questioned old orders. Worlds once ruled by fear hesitated to resist now, not because they were weak, but because they sensed something had shifted. The queen listened. She did not silence the questions. She remembered the human's words. Home. She began to rule differently. Not softer but wiser. Back in the village, the human returned to his work. He fixed generators, repaired doors, helped rebuild roofs. He did not seek praise. He avoided attention. But people watched him differently now, not as a hero, as a reminder. One evening, as the sun set in calm colors instead of red, a child approached him. "Are you a warrior?" the child asked. The human smiled and shook his head. "No." "Then how did you beat her?" He thought for a moment. "I didn't beat her," he said. "I just didn't give up." The child nodded, satisfied. Seasons passed. The village grew. New homes were built. Fields expanded. Life moved forward. And sometimes at night, the human would look at the stars and wonder. Not with fear, with curiosity. He never saw the queen again. But he felt her influence. Trade routes shifted. Battles stopped before they began. Empires whispered instead of roared. One stand had echoed farther than any weapon. Years later, when the human's hair had turned gray, a ship appeared above the village once more. It did not bring soldiers. It brought a message, a single signal, brief and clear. The crest at the village entrance glowed softly in response. The human stood beneath it, leaning on a walking stick. He smiled. Somewhere among the stars, the alien warrior queen ruled an empire that still remembered the day a human stepped forward, not with strength, not with weapons, but with the simple, stubborn refusal to kneel. And because of that, a village lived. An empire changed. And the galaxy learned a truth it would never forget. Humans did not need to be unbeatable. They only needed to stand.